Thank you so much for gathering here. We don't have a mic right here in this opera house space, but it's an opera house. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Thank you all for being here. I'm really excited you're here today. My name is Jessica Duncan. I'm the Director of Career Development and Innovation at Vermont State University. It's my honor to welcome you to the first inaugural Making a Difference, Making a Living conference. I do want to share some details. I know some of you aren't familiar with the space. We do have a brochure today that has where all of our speakers are, the times they're speaking, and the locations. The locations are Casella Learning Lab 2 and Killington Learning Lab 1, upstairs here down the main hallway. There are signs directing you there. There's a speaker every session downstairs in the street side conference room. There are signs directing you down there too. And at the end of this session, if you want to follow Carrie Buska, Carrie in red to street side, she'll be supporting Dylan's opening remarks in street side conference room. And Larry Corsell, where's Larry? Larry Corsell is right here. If you want to follow him to the Killington Learning Lab, he'll be supporting Kelly Messler in that space. I do want to share too, if you're wondering, who do I listen to in session 1? I don't know these people very well. We have a biography sheet here at our front table in your folder that tells you who they are and a little bit about them if you want to read before you attend their talk. Also, all the recordings for today will be on our MADMAL Vermont.org website in 7 days, so you can see anything you missed there. I do want to say it's a joy to see so many faces gathered here, students, alumni, faculty, employers, and community partners, all united with one shared belief that education doesn't just prepare us for work, but it empowers us to make a difference. This conference is a celebration of what's possible when education meets purpose. It's about exploring the space where learning becomes opportunity and where the work we do every day connects back to who we are and what we really value. Today, we're bringing together voices from around Vermont, from campuses at Vermont State University and the Community College of Vermont, to share stories that remind us why higher education really matters. You'll hear from alumni who turned their studies into careers of impact, and from leaders who use their skills to strengthen communities, inspire others, and open doors to those for what comes next. This event, the first of its kind at the VSCS, is made possible through the Chancellor's Innovation Fund, which supports creative, collaborative projects across our system. That fund exists to spark new ideas, to help us imagine bold ways of working together, and to strengthen the bridges between our campuses, our classrooms, and our communities. And I can't really think of a better example of that spirit than what's happening here today. As our Chancellor said, this work is more than education. It's about building Vermont's future by bringing together students, educators, and industry leaders, and demonstrating how higher education can rise to meet real-world needs and build a more vibrant, resilient state. For me, the heart of today's conference lies in a shared belief that what we give back through our work matters just as much as what we achieve. As we begin this inaugural conference, I want to thank the speakers, and I want to thank the planning committees and all the stories to the organizers, and the organizers who brought this vision to life. And all of you, especially, for really being part of this. It's one that brings heart, creativity, and hope to the promise of education. We are quite literally making something new today, as someone very close to me reminded me, a conference that connects learning with living and passion and purpose. So welcome, and let's make something meaningful together. I'm sorry.
Oh, cool. It's for everybody.
I'd like to ask Vermont State University President Dave Bergh to join us at the podium.
Very good.
Can we give Jess another round of applause? Very excited to be here for this inaugural conference. And I want to say greetings as well to, I know we've got a number of students who are joining us on the live stream, who are jumping in and out between classes on campus to watch sessions today. So delighted to have you all here. How many folks drove through snow to get here this morning? Okay. All right. The commitment is appreciated. I also want to acknowledge and thank the Chancellor, who I know will be speaking later today, Chancellor Beth Maug, her innovation fund, which was the impetus behind the idea to kind of build this conference and bring together alumni and leaders in business industry that are committed to the future of Vermont. I also, this is really tangible to me because when you talk about the power of education to transform lives, at least two of our speakers today who are Vermont leaders are alumni and who are students that I worked with earlier in my career. I won't embarrass them and call them out, but they know who they are. And that to me is the most exciting part of all of this. So anyway, delighted to have you here today. I have the opportunity to introduce State Treasurer Mike Pieciak, who's going to speak next. And I think Mike really exemplifies of what we're bringing together here today, which is an understanding of the power of education and training to transform lives, to help individuals pursue their passions, but also become, productive and active citizens in the state, and to help meet our workforce needs. And Mike is a great ally of the Vermont State College system, a former trustee in the system, and really a trusted advisor as we went through our recent process of transformation into the new system and new university that we have. So with that, again, I'm delighted to be here with you all today. Thanks so much for joining us. And Mike, I welcome you to the podium. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's really an honor to be here today and be part of the inaugural event. I think this hopefully will be the beginning of many more community engagements from the Vermont State College system into all of the various communities that you serve, which really is every single community in Vermont, and every single Vermonter has an opportunity to participate in the system, which is great. I want to talk today a little bit about why I'm so optimistic about the future of our state, and I think the important role that pretty much every single person in this room is going to play in that future. But when I think about what are the things in Vermont that are unique advantages to our state, I think about our natural beauty. We have, in my opinion, the most beautiful state in the country. Every single part of our state is beautiful in different ways. It attracts tourism to come to our state and powers our economy forward. Similarly, access to outdoor recreational opportunities is something that is really powerful for our state, something that's unmatched. Other states have great outdoor recreational opportunities, but none of them have it as accessible as we do to even our most populated areas in Vermont. And that itself is a whole economic generator for Vermont. And that generates the economy, not just in places like Burlington and Rutland, but in all of our rural communities as well. Disproportionately benefits our rural communities. But one of the advantages I think that we have that's our strongest advantage is our sense of community that we have in Vermont. That sense of community runs really deep. We show up for each other when people have problems. We help them out. It's in our nature. It's in our value system. And I know many people in this room have probably lived in a lot of other places in the country, and that's not true pretty much anywhere else. It is very unique to our state, and it is, in my opinion, our greatest advantage. When I think about that sense of community, it's something that was instilled in me at a really early age when I grew up in Brattleboro, just down the road from here in southern Vermont. My parents were super involved in the community. My dad was a small business owner. He had a CPA firm. He made sure that we spent our money locally at local businesses in Brattleboro. It was important to support the businesses that were supporting us. And that meant, unfortunately for me as a little kid, that every Saturday morning, my dad would take me to this diner at the end of Main Street that had really terrible food, and the silverware was never clean. And I always asked my dad, why do we have to come here? Like, there's other places to go. And he said, that this is a business that supports his business, and he's going to show up and support them. And it was as simple as that. But he was really involved in the community. He helped raise money so that we could have lights on the football field in Brattleboro, so we could have Friday night football games as a community. He helped raise money so we could bring a teen center to Brattleboro so that kids had a safe place to hang out after school. He helped expand the golf course in Brattleboro from 9 holes to 18 holes. And on that, I had to say, I was probably about 14 years old, and I asked my dad, hey, Dad, why did you work so much on that project? You don't even play golf. And he said that Brattleboro had done so much for him and had done so much for our family that it was the least he could do to find ways to give back. And that idea of that sense of responsibility, that sense of almost moral obligation to give back to our communities is something that is instilled in me and something that I believe is part of that unique Vermont community. That idea that we give back to each other and we give back to the community because we have a responsibility to do so. The other thing, that really had an impact on me growing up was my mom's example. My mom started a soup kitchen in Brattleboro in 1982, just before she was pregnant with me, called St. Bridget's Kitchen. And they served their first meal on St. Patrick's Day in 1982. And I think they had about 12 people show up for food. But they have grown over the years to serving 45,000 meals in the Brattleboro community, which both speaks to the unmet need that was happening in the Brattleboro community at that time, but also unfortunately the growing need that's happened in Brattleboro and across much of the state and the country in the ensuing decade as well. But my mom was the director of the soup kitchen for 40 years. She dedicated her life to that. And every time when I was a little kid that she'd take me with her to deliver food to somebody in the Brattleboro community who was shut in and largely shut off from the rest of society. Without fail, every single time he was so caring and loving and kind and respectful to every single person that she encountered. And it really, again, provided this example and this inspiration and this deep value that everybody matters, everybody has value, and everybody deserves dignity. And I think that is the really high standard that all of us as community leaders, those of us in public service should hold ourselves to, that high standard, building a state, building an economy, building a community where everybody matters. And education is an important part of building a community where everybody matters, where everybody has the skills, everybody has the opportunity. In my family, education was critically important. My dad was the first person to go to college and graduate in our family. His dad worked in a factory. His dad was a farmer. So you can see this trajectory in our own family from working as a farmer to working in a factory to then being a professional. Education for my dad and education for our family really punched his ticket to the middle class. It provided so much opportunity for our family. It provided opportunity to me and my sisters. It was the thing that really differentiated the past generations of my family members. It provides so much opportunity for those of you that are thinking about or pursuing college as well. And I think about all the examples that I had, teachers, my parents obviously were important mentors to me, but the teachers that I had, whether nursery school or elementary school or college, law school, they were people that were so critical to who I became and what I did. And that kind of mentorship, that kind of thought process and thought partnership really can only happen when you fully engage in academic pursuit and you lean into it and you take full advantage of it. Now, the thing about that in education, and I think about, again, my family, and my dad moved to Brattleboro in 1970. So it was a while ago, but I asked my dad, how much money did you make when you moved to Brattleboro? And he said he made about $200 a week, which is about $10,000 a year. And I said, during that time, did mom work? Or did she have to work? And she said, no, she, largely was running, she was doing philanthropic activities in the community, raising two kids. I wasn't yet born. So I think about that. My dad was able to live in Brattleboro, one income, $10,000 a year, raise two kids, have a home that he afforded. That is equivalent today of about $60,000. That idea that you could have $60,000 in Vermont, have a home, raise two kids, pretty unachievable, pretty unbelievable. So there's something in our state that we have to confront, which is we have to be able to afford to live here. We have to be able to afford to have our young kids be able to live here. My dad went to college, I mentioned, he went to college on a football scholarship, so he didn't have student loans to repay either. At that age, at that era, with that much money, I don't know if he could have bought a house, raised a family on that income. But certainly today, on top of the challenges with housing prices and the cost of raising kids, the cost of daily life, there's no way you can add in there student loans. So thinking about how to make our state more affordable generally, but more affordable for young people is going to be a critical challenge for all of us. You know, we have a lot of opportunity in our state. You think about the businesses that are in Vermont. We have a business in Vermont, Global Foundries, that creates semiconductor microchips that are found in 84% of all of the cell phones in the world. So 84% of all the cell phones in the world have a chip that was produced right here in Vermont. It's our largest export. Beta Technologies, maybe all of you know, but they just went public this week on the New York Stock Exchange. They raised over $1 billion. That was a company that was started here in Vermont by a Vermonter that grew up here in our state. And it's one of the few public companies to go public from Vermont. Some of the other well-known ones are things like Ben & Jerry's and Green Mountain Coffee. But I looked up like how successful was this initial public offering from Beta compared to some of the others. And they raised more money than all of the other 4 public companies combined. They really have a bright future ahead of them. Things like TheHub and Hula up in Burlington, they're bringing together entrepreneurs, they're bringing together a venture capital space that didn't exist just even 10 years ago. That's bringing in not just like tens of millions, but hundreds of millions of dollars into our state. There are all these opportunities. The other thing that's an opportunity for everyone here that's in school or a young person that's just out of school or thinking about their future in Vermont, you know, our demographics are a challenge. We're an older state. But over the next 5 to 10 years, there are going to be so many leadership opportunities that open up, whether it's in the not-for-profit sector or the for-profit sector or in government, because people are retiring and we need young people to step up in those leadership roles. Another thing, you think about how many businesses we have in Vermont that are small businesses. We have over 80,000 small businesses. Vast majority of those are owned by baby boomers, people in the baby boom generation. If you think about what the national average is in terms of expected retirements over the next couple of years, they expect, you know, close to 70% of baby boomers that own a business are ready to retire in the next couple of years. The number for Vermont is something like 59% of all small businesses are looking to have an exit over the next couple of years. So whether you're thinking about being a leader in the nonprofit sector, a leader in government, you want to be an entrepreneur, start your own business, or buy a business from somebody that's ready to age out, there are unparalleled opportunities. But fundamentally, we have to be able to build a Vermont where people can afford to live here and take advantage of those opportunities. So in closing, why, you know, I'm so optimistic about the future of our state is that I think the world is moving in the direction of the values that Vermont already has. I think the world is moving in a direction where they're seeking community, they're seeking purpose, they're seeking sustainability. These are things that Vermont has at its core. Vermont's size is an advantage as well. We can innovate faster than anybody else. We can develop and collaborate more easily than anybody else. And we still show up for each other. We still have that sense of community. And that's a foundation that is very powerful. That's a foundation that everyone in this room can build a life on. And it's a foundation that everyone in this room can build a future from as well. So I hope you enjoy today. I hope you take full advantage of the opportunity to network and engage. I think it's great that the college system is getting off of the campus and into the community. I think that is an important part of collaboration for our future, being able to deliver education, not just in the traditional ways and not just to the traditional folks, but making it expansive, broad, and engaging for anyone that's seeking an opportunity to better themselves. So thank you so much for having me today. Look forward to spending some time with you and good luck on the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Pieciak, for your contribution to public higher education. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All our conference attendees today, we have these hats with our logo. They're right in this room. Feel free to grab them whenever you like.
Nice. Thank you.
Next sessions are Dylan and Gia Batista, Streetside Conference Room downstairs. You're welcome to follow after Carrie. downstairs to street side. Then we also have Kelly Messer and Killington Learning Lab 1 right down the hallway here. Please follow Larry, and we will get started. There's snacks throughout the day. Get your brochures. Please find me. Thank you so much.